You know what? I'm gonna try another trick that I do often. This is such a weird head. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Like, I feel like if it's not already, it should be like the official art form of Burning Man. Wow, yeah, that's awesome. So handsome, oh my goodness. Alright, like I said, now I'm gonna start going in with darker colors. I didn't think about this being so fluffy. That there'd be so many little shapes I gotta get in there. Right, I have to draw a color. I do not care. Odd mixes of color. Oh geez, I got sidetracked. I had a story. Kinda hot mess. In the best way. What makes it foreshortened and all that. But then he puts the dank shit. I grew up being an absolute dork. I'm an actor, musician, an artist. You're a chaos goblin that will be drawing. I am locked out of any other layer. And I am here for a live stream. Thank you for joining.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of Live with Lava Sub. We are in week 3 of making this very strange mask. Had a thought about the mask with Jim Carrey in the relating to this mask in the week or so since I've touched it. It's nice and dry. Went a lot thinner on my layers than I intended to last week. So this week we're gonna go big. I'm mixing up a big old mound of mediums. I've got the molding paste. I've got the blended fibers, and I've got my gloss and my slow dry. Got them all mixed up now. I actually excluded one that I've been doing because I'm running low on it, the black lava. I want that to be in the finishing layers at the end of this process because I want that sparkle that it has to come out. I don't want to end up covering it all up, and since I'm not entirely ever very sure where anything I'm doing artistically is going until it is done, I think this is the best course of action because it is actually very liquidy, very thin. So it adds to the kind of like how malleable it can be at the beginning stages. Hour or two in, you've seen it where it gets really thick, everything's really tight. Yeah, that's going to take a while to get to that point. Yeah. Got my neon green and my kind of teal color going in here, mixing it all up. This is going to be an even closer color match than the one we did last week. Because I added the neon green back in. Mostly just I want more consistency in the color for this layer. Because when I start going more into other colors later on, I want them to stand out. And I'm going to do those with the lava near the end of the process here. Light layers, kind of adding color, adding texture, but trying to keep all of this, or a lot of the work that we've already put into this piece, and not lose all of that when we go to do our final. I had to use a new palette paper today. One we used last week got absolutely trashed. I've been trying to take the paint off week after week so I can keep reusing them, but by the time I got to the layer of last week, it was toast. It basically merged with the palette paper. All right, yeah, you could see that color match. It's even stronger than we had it last week. Almost dead on. Yeah, to the original, the color we put on day 1. You know, I thought this process would add like more clarity because I'm like, oh, okay, I'm waiting for the next week, but I swear to you, by like 3 days into the week, I'm already like forgetting what I was doing and stuff like that on this piece. Might actually do a little work on it off stream coming up here. Oh shoot, there's a day you've got more available than Tuesday in the early evening. Let us know in the chat. Maybe we'll do a second stream at some point. I have more days in the week where I can jam away at this cool mask that I'm really having fun making. Okay. And as we've done before, we shall do it again. I've just gathered up all of this paint to a tight little area. That's not what we want. Guess there's a little more mixing we could do. Oh, streak of the mediums in the middle of that. See? Glad I got started on this early because like, mixing paint isn't probably your favorite thing as an audience, but glad you're sticking around. Me personally, I watch motherfucker paint all day. The colors, dude. The colors. I had an exciting night last night. What was exciting, you ask? I'll tell you. I was fortunate enough to, thanks to my friend and producer Sam and my mom buying us a couple of tickets, or contributing money to help us get the tickets, really. We got to go see my favorite movie live on the big screen with the cast, some of the original cast, as well as the original director, and the new cast of the show that they're making as kind of a sequel to reboot the franchise. Some of you know, some of you just finding out, but Willow. Willow is the movie I'm talking about here, right? One of my all-time favorite movies, my absolute favorite movie. We do a podcast here at Nerdcrafty called Ignore the Bird, Follow the River. You can actually find episodes of the podcast anywhere you get them, but we are moving over to YouTube with that content full time because having the video feed has really improved what we're able to do. And with the show coming out, we're going to have a lot to say about it. Kind of blown out over here, but the light's more important. You need to see what I'm doing after all. Okay, so I've got this paint mixed up. Like I said, I'm going big this week. Just gonna keep some paint on here. Hey buddy, how you doing? Thanks for coming. Lurk away, my friend, lurk away. We stand an attentive parent. If you were here last week, you'll notice I'm going into basically the same area that I was in last, but we're going in with a different mentality. Going in big. What I'm really trying to do here is, I noticed last week a lot of the ridges and everything I made, I ended up using a lot of that paint essentially to the process of shaping it. So I'm adding a ton of paint here, and then I'm going to try and just leave it the hell alone and see how that works. Yeah, let's before I mess around and forget, let's just do that right now. So I just want to remind everyone that I am probably going to say some things that could be potentially triggering. Um, not like gonna say dumb stuff, but I tend to be pretty loud with my opinions. I make it into some subject matter that may be disturbing to some viewers. I just want to warn you. Got a little content warning at the beginning of the program. I try and remember it each time, but I'm in no way perfect. I will just tell you now. Make your own decisions, huh? To make any. You know, it's funny. I've been thinking a lot about this technique in regards to the kitchen a lot lately. What I'm doing right here kind of resembles how I butter bread. I like to do the edges first. Make sure you get all the butter there. You know? Let me tell. I was realizing it the other day when I was making breakfast. Got some really wild eyebrows on here now. I spend some time doing that. I think it's time to punch these eyes out because I want to make sure I'm hitting this ridge right. That was giving me some trouble last week. Can always clean it up later. I've been off stream. The work I have been doing is mostly removing paint from the interior of the mask with a knife. Yeah, this allows me to do that kind of technique I was talking about. Allows me to use the ridges I've already started here to push the paint off of my knives. I don't want to lose the definition that I've already got on here. I don't want to lose the shapes that I've already worked so hard on. I want to make them more drastic. I want to make them bigger. I want to make them more exaggerated. It's really interesting. I think is the aspect of kind of like, because I've been pretty open. I'm not really planning this necessarily. Like I had some ideas for what to do, but I'm not necessarily the biggest like I know exactly what I'm gonna do at all times kind of artist at all. A lot of what I do, I assume, or I like to believe is best left to improvisation. I feel like it's harder to put up walls and harder to depend on what am I trying to say? I'm just trying to say that like it gives me the opportunity to not self-censor myself a lot of the time. Because yeah, it I don't feel like is very helpful to the process of making art. I want my art to be as transparent and as honest as it possibly can be. In the name of that, I try not to make things too organized, too planned out, too defined before I start doing it. This is like, after lots of experience having a lot of planning, and not necessarily seeing that as a bad thing, but not necessarily the best way for my process. I like improvising. I like being taken by surprise by my own thoughts sometimes, by the things that I'm saying, and kind of like have these moments of realization that are closer to even like actualization. True like self-transparency that like I was thinking, what does this piece say about me? These ridges, these heavy defined features. I think it's a interesting thing to think about. What am I subconsciously saying? Like, do I feel like an alien? Do I feel like a bug? Do I feel like I'm made of stone? Am I some amalgamation of any of those, or anything else? Who is this mask for? What aspect of me is this mask being? Is it stimulating? Part of me is it representing? I mean, after all, how artist talks to their audience is important, an important aspect of making art as well, I think. And for the longest time, whether it be storytelling in a written or theatrical medium, painting, whatever that happens to be, I'd like to give the audience the freedom to make their own decisions about what is happening. In my abstract work, you can see a lot of different things. I feel like make your own decisions about what the art is as it's manifested there on the canvas, but also like what those shapes are, interpret them your own way. I try and add some elements of figurative art or just scenery, landscape art. Try and add elements to those pieces so that people can see whatever they want to see often, or whatever they need to see in the best case. But yeah, that's what stimulates me, I guess. Finding people who introspected on themselves, because of something I made is something that I consider a incredibly high compliment. What I do. I want to make you think. I want to make you consider things maybe you haven't considered. Or recognize there are things in you things in all of us that sometimes we're forced to push down for one reason or another. I think that's something we can all relate with. Something I do helps you come to terms with that stuff. That's a beautiful thing for both of us, as far as I'm concerned. I'm of the opinion that art is always going to be, or should be at least, challenging to the point that your audience is thinking, your audience is having to draw conclusions where sometimes you don't give them, and using the most using the information that you do give them. Sometimes it doesn't necessarily create a clear picture, but that allows for a lot of interpretation, and that interpretation will tell you about who you are. And I don't know, I love that element of art. The sharing thing, it's a communal thing. Why it's necessity to participate in capitalism to survive as an artist is so depressing, and lack of a entire analysis that I could give you on the subject. But yeah, I oftentimes, when you're looking at art as a way to make money, you make different choices than if you're making art because it's what you're passionate about, it's what you believe in. It's a ethics, it's a philosophy for you. And it is. Punk rock taught me that. Art and art is and movements of art have ethics, have beliefs that are attached to them that I feel like are that can be, while they can be corrupted, they are intangible, they are interlinked. I belief in how the art is presented, how it's arranged, and a lot of punk music is not necessarily like things that people intended to sound or look like exactly like we see it. But because of the medium, it comes out essentially whatever way it comes out. Chance and your financial means that you're able to put behind that, all of these things factor into it. Who your alliances lie with, things like that. I mean, I believe art is just inherently political. I think it's a very interesting place our society is in, where it's some kind of debate. Art is inherently political because it's coming from people who have their own beliefs, their own experiences. Of those affected by the social conditions that we find ourselves in. We're making some decent progress already. Grab my other real knife. I'm gonna get this detailed ridge in. I guess all last week doing. I'm gonna try and not take that much time last week, but I want it to look a certain way. Now I'm bound for the try. Oh boy. With the shaky hands, there you go. Not ideal for this stuff at all. We'll make it. We'll make it. Why didn't I call this program We'll Make It? Since anyone in the chat want to weigh in? Make it better than Lava said. I think your answers would be it. Oh, yeah, the screening. I keep reading. I was starting to talk about the screening and then I got distracted. But yeah, seeing Willow on the big screen for the first time in my life was a huge deal. I was crying a lot. It's definitely one of those movies for me that just really hits in a certain way, especially different parts. Uh, and especially knowing that, like, some of the people that formed, like, Warwick Davies, like, ultimately just right around somewhere behind me while I was watching this movie. It's crazy. Added another level to it. They, the one kind of disappointing thing that happened was I went in to this thinking that there would be like a Q&A. Like I would be able to ask them questions, which if you've watched any of our podcasts, you know I have lots. And I have a couple pages of notes that were just like things that I was prepared to ask them, things that I wanted clarified for whatever reason. Some stuff about the new show, some stuff about the film. But yeah, when it came time, the film was finished, they had everyone out on stage. It was pretty clear pretty quickly that this was going to be not that kind of Q&A. It was like, someone from the Entertainment Network came out and asked everybody in the cast questions, and Ron Howard and Jonathan Kasdan were there, kind of with the cast answering questions as well. And it was good. It was fine. I just, like I said, if you watched the podcast or if you know me as a person at all, I have many questions for everyone on that stage last night. I mean, thought it was interesting. Ellie Bammer was there with her very red hair. We'll see if that turns into anything or if I'm just a kook on the internet talking about my own weird fan theories about things, which is very possible. Very, very possible. But if you're a fan of Willow, you know Laura Dannon had the red hair. And we've heard a lot of theories. My buddy, High Alderman of TikTok, they have been of the opinion for quite some time that it would be revealed during the course of the show that character of Jade, played by Erin Kellerman, will end up being Laura Dannon. And I definitely could see why they would cast it that way and all that stuff. Erin Kellerman's done a lot of work with Marvel and Disney, and it would make sense that they go with that. A very, very talented person for the role, but thought it was, I have my own opinions, my own theories, and a lot of them I've realized, it could be manipulated. I didn't know about the whole. I think it was like one of the Endgame movies where Disney Marvel was like hyping up, a Hulk appearance in a movie, and then it was the one they depowered him in. And it was like this big kind of like deception, essentially, that happened during the publicity for that film. So I could see why many people wouldn't necessarily trust Disney is playing it 100% straight with a lot of the little teasing of information that we have been given so far. But yeah, I mean, I can only use my intuition with these kinds of things. It's not really like anyone but somebody who holds a script and ain't talking can really tell us. But yeah, I've been watching all the trailers very closely, and I have my own theory about Dove being Laura Dannon. They've kept her identity a secret from her for her whole life, and she finds out because all of the bad things happen that look like they're going to happen in the show. It's kind of been teased at as well. Yeah. Ultimately, who knows, and who cares? Not because it's like who cares? It's not important. It's like who cares? We're gonna know like basically midnight tonight. The show is released on the 30th, which I think if trends of streaming services are like fairly universal, I'm pretty sure that means that Disney will have the first episode of Willow up tonight around midnight, if you're up that late, which I can tell you because that's happening, I will be. At least to see, I like I said, I don't even really know, but if that is happening, I ain't gonna miss it. That's for damn sure. Gotta at least find out. It's for the podcast. It's only for the podcast. It's not personal for me. It's for the podcast. I'm fibbing. It's for me, but it is something that I'm very passionate about, and I like our the work. I like very much the work that we do on Ignore the Bird, Follow the River. I think we've definitely put some stuff out that I feel is valuable to fans of the franchise, and even valuable to people who are just getting into it. Whose first exposure might be the series that's coming out soon. I'm proud of the work we've done. And I can't wait to be sharing more with you once we start production back up again. Which hopefully I think we'll be doing as the shows come out and are released. We'll be talking about them on the old YouTube channel there. Thank you. Yeah, Sam says we have a recording date set for this Thursday. So hopefully that means we'll have an episode out to you very soon. And, yeah, I mean, I'm so excited. Like, this is yeah, I've said it over and over again. Something I've waited 35 years for. I mean, this is one of my favorite movies and has been since I was just a wee little tater tot. Can you tell I lost my train of thought again? Yeah, just that I'm excited about this show. I'm very excited to be seeing Warwick Davis on screen again. In some of his finest performance. Yeah, I was gonna do a bunch of TikToks last night after I got home, kind of about the experience and all. I was hyped, I gotta tell you. I did end up watching like at least 50% of the first episode of 10th Kingdom, which, if you're not familiar, is another fantasy story. This one was done for the Hallmark Channel in the early 2000s. I'm pretty sure I was in high school when this was coming out. That's how I was first introduced to it. Was Hallmark Channel. Done by the same, I think, director of the um, Gulliver's Travels that you probably watched in your middle school like English class, starring Ted Danson. Done by that same group over at Hallmark. And another thing that Warwick Davis was in, and he plays Acorn the Dwarf in that show, and is one of my favorite parts of the show. Consummate professional, incredible talent. Love to see it. Work is so funny because I get so quiet. And I'm like the loudest person on the planet under most circumstances, but stuff makes me feel absolutely whisper mode. I'm afraid I'm going to shake the piece with my voice. Oh, okay. That's trying to even this out. And part of the problem this whole time is that the symmetry is really difficult to nail. All of these, I mean, trying to sculpt paint over here. I don't know, like, I don't know if you've ever worked with paint, but it doesn't like to be sculpted. It's kind of a liquid thing that it likes to do. But we don't let the medium tell us what it wants. We don't play that way. No, sometimes. I don't know. uh, yeah, like, I guess it's like, I could compare it to, like, I don't know. I don't meditate, but I get real quiet when I do this shit. That's for sure. I don't know what that means. You're gonna have to just take it whatever way you take it. I'm intentionally esoteric, but I think it's interesting. So funny. 2 weeks ago, I was like, "Yeah, you guys should definitely just try this. You know, it's fun." I don't recommend it. I mean, it is fun, and I do really enjoy it. I'm getting so gassed on this thing every time I work on it, but oh my god, it can really drive you up a wall. I'll tell you that for sure. All right. I'm going to push that whole thing down because it was driving me crazy. I am going to try and establish that the smoother transition onto the from the forehead to this ridge. We'll see if that helps us here. It's very possible that I just really screwed myself out of like probably 20 minutes at work. But in the words of the philosophers at Drawfee, erase your art, delete your art, rather, delete your art. Well, I can't delete this whole piece. It would break me. And decide that what I'm doing is fruitless, frustrating, not a good use of my time. And start over from somewhere that makes more sense. Ooh, a little point now, a little unicorn horn. I'm not gonna keep that, but I do kind of like it. Maybe I will keep it. You know, time will tell, my friend. Time will tell. Okay. Don't. You. I am going nuts on that one area though, so I'm gonna try and scoop and move to another place because I keep going back and forth. I mean, I'm really happy with this. I just need to touch it right here, and then I touch it right there, and it's not. So I think what we're getting into is called hyper focusing, which is a thing I do. It doesn't, as much as it sounds like a Dragon Ball Z thing, it is not, and it is not cool. Like Dragon Ball Z is cool. Go back to my little. Okay. See, now I'm moving. Saw it. I said it. I'm doing it. Marvelous. Marvelous. Yes. It's actually starting to get a little bit tacky. It's starting to dry just a hair, which kind of is racking my nerves, if I'm being honest with you, but also giving me some better workability with a lot of the stuff that I'm trying to do right here. We dug too deep. I like where I'm at, but they're very different. I am on a quest. Try and match these up. Let's get some more coffee. Let's get some more coffee in us. Yeah, I think I just need to add paint to the other side now. I think that was a big help to the left side. Now I'm adding it to the right because as much as I applied, I think I still under applied, specifically to some parts. The areas near the bridge of the nose. Hardest parts of this process is picking up the paint and getting it to stick where you want it to stick. Paint just wants to go all over the place. It doesn't want to, it wants to come with the knife. For these ridges to work, for all of this volume of paint to work, the way that I'm trying to make it work, it needs to try and get it to stay where I want it to stay. A lot of the time, the best way to do that is to pull the knife backward towards the edge. You can see it leaves you a little ridge. And then you can kind of keep working from there. If you noticed just a moment ago, I cleaned off my palette knife on my shirt, and then I dipped it in some water, wiped it again. Because I'm thinking part of the problem with the paint not wanting to stay where I put it is that the excess paint on the knife is kind of acting as a is making it stick down, is making it stick to the knife rather than to the other wet paint. It's easier for the paint to want to stick to this palette knife that's constantly drying than it is to the mask that is thick with all of this wet paint. And oh, is she thick? Now, I know I said I was watching The 10th Kingdom when I got home, but holy shit, we also finished Andor. And oh my god, what a show. Genuinely the best thing. See, the best show that Disney's put out so far. I mean, by miles. It's some of the best storytelling I've seen on television. I mean, just ever, period. Man, what's going on with my charger? Please work. Little technical difficulties, my friends, but shouldn't be a big issue. This happens all the time now. There we go. But yeah, I mean, really great storytelling. Doesn't force itself to be this fast-paced, quippy thing that we're used to seeing from a lot of, I mean, Disney-affiliated products, essentially. And, like, I don't hate it, you know, but I don't necessarily think it's that good that we need to do it in literally every piece of media. Which, you know, controversial opinions. Ooh, I got them. That's what you come here for, right? Controversial opinions. That media should be more than one kind of thing. But yeah, the character building in the first few episodes is so strong. You really get a sense for who these characters are, where they stand in the world, and it has so much of a arc for our titular character Andor, Cassian Andor. And I'm a big fan of Rogue One. I was definitely one of the people who I'm one of the people who really I've always wanted to know more about that end of Star Wars, the Rebellion. And often we just get more Jedi versus Sith, and I gotta tell you, at a certain point, I just don't care. When you think about it from I guess from the perspective that, like, I guess we're forced to reckon with now, ultimately, as far as Star Wars goes. The kind of like social commentary, political implications. A lot of people have been talking recently about how Lucas has openly said that the main conflict in that story was more modeled on the U.S. versus the Viet Cong conflict, and which says a lot about kind of like where George Lucas was at that time, considering that Viet Cong were communists. And that's why the U.S. was coming into their country and murdering with war crimes. Going as far as to lie about the reasons that they were there in the first place. not being and those facts not being uncovered for decades after. Yeah, pretty messed up stuff. And really cool that you kind of like, once you know that, you want to know more about these more peripheral characters, because so much of 4, 5, and 6 is the conflict within Luke. You know, I mean, Luke is born into this life of essentially like toiling away and working a hard, difficult job with his uncle and aunt, who aren't technically his uncle and aunt, and having to like this proletarian kind of existence that he was living as a farmer, as a mechanic for the droids, and all of the things that he would have had to do to maintain the home at Luke and Owen and Beru's. To him being eventually like, you know, a fully trained master of the Jedi, a people that were thought to be extinct, essentially like, I mean, modeled after a handful of different real life kind of warriors. Point being ultimately that we don't get much of the side of the rebellion. We have little snippets, but we have most of the story focused on Luke's story arc, his progression. So when Rogue One came out, I was really excited because I have always wanted to know more about that. What the world of the galaxies of Star Wars look like without space magic, essentially. What the on the ground fight looks like, especially considering my views. I want to know more about the on the ground struggle, the political context, things like that when it comes to Star Wars. I want to know more about that stuff. And a lot of the time, it's not terribly clear. But Andor dedicates a lot of time to kind of like fleshing out a lot of that, telling us more about the, revolutionary forces, showing us what the cost can be for not for thinking that you weren't going to be involved in a political struggle that affects every person in that galaxy. Thinking that you could pretend it doesn't exist for long enough, maybe you'll just pass away naturally. And how that is a fantasy, and how the more you back away from, let's say, revolutionary action or direct action, I guess is a better way to put this here, the longer that the conflict will continue to escalate between the, in the case of Andor, the everyone not in the Empire, effectively. The Empire is a imperial force, a colonizing force, a capitalist force, a militaristic force. And yes, many people would consider these terms redundant, but it's worth noting for sure for clarity. Yeah, I just think I think it was a very important show to happen right now. Because apathy has a strange way of permeating the minds and hearts of even our most the people who like Andor, like Cassian Andor, need that kind of action, need that kind of movement to ultimately to exist. Love that the Force isn't there saving people, you know, showing us the realities of a conflict between a government and its people. Especially, I mean, it would be. I mean, if you're a big fan of Star Wars, you could also, yeah. I mean, obviously, you wouldn't want a Jedi necessarily there solving everybody's problems for them because up till Luke, everyone thought the Jedi were annihilated, were all gone. Yoda and Ben kind of being two of a very few, I mean, maybe a couple of handfuls at most, Jedi in the galaxies after the Revenge of the Sith, essentially, after the Clone Wars and all of that stuff. Yeah, there's like very few surviving Jedi. So from the perspective of like a Star Wars fan, you also would want it for that reason, because it would be like canonically correct, I guess, or fitting maybe is a better way of putting it. You'd have to invent your own new Jedi, which I mean, I have to say, a lot of the character building stuff they were doing with Stellan Skarsgård's character definitely felt they were kind of like signaling a little bit, like trying to say, you know, he's maybe could be could be a Jedi, maybe. We're not going to tell you though. So we'll see where that goes, because they, I believe, are doing a second season of Andor. I'm very excited about it. Yeah, especially if you've seen the show. I mean, spoilers for everyone out there who hasn't, but yeah, it definitely leaves off not necessarily on a cliffhanger, but with definitely the implication that there is more story to tell there. Very exciting. Very exciting. My down for a second. I'm gonna blend a little bit where the paint is starting to dry. A little bit of weight on it. My finger over it. And actually get my finger just a little bit wet. So that I can kind of glide a little better. Smooth some of these areas out even more. Picking up the paint. Ultimately, we're going to be able to smooth through a lot of these rougher patches that you might see. We're going to smooth over a lot of that later. Our steps that are closer to the final steps. Looking pretty good though. I actually don't know if I want to mess with areas I've already gone into so much today. Oops. Something up there. Right chunk came loose. Giving me a weird bumpy eyebrow. I don't like it. Yes, absolutely. There's still plenty of ground to cover there. Um, yeah, I didn't realize they were doing a second season. I thought this was going to be like a limited series or something like that, and they were going to go from this season straight into Rogue One. But yeah, they're definitely giving it more time. Man, and what's great about this show is it very subtly gives you uh, a lot of political theory that most Americans would never read in their entire life simply because of the writer's name. Um, I mean, it's rudimentary. It's super simplified versions of that, but oh man, is it effective the way that they do it? There's a couple of shows that have came out recently from Disney that definitely feel more um, my speed politically. I think they did a really great job with Miss Marvel, uh, and I think they did a really great job with the messaging in She-Hulk. There's just this one moment that I think is probably one of the most important messages that especially young men can hear today. That I notice my friends doing uh, this kind of thing a lot of the time, and it not necessarily being very widely criticized. Where somebody is having an issue or venting about a person, a problem they might be having, and they're the person they are who is listening um, offers to go beat them up, doing physical violence. And I think the sentiment is very sweet. I think the sentiment comes from a good place. Um, but in She-Hulk, I think it was the Wrecker character, kind of during that group therapy episode, reacts to all of the rest of the people in that group therapy session offering to kick She-Hulk's the dude who puts her all over the internet. Um, uh, he says something along the lines of like, "Isn't it sad that all we can offer is acts of violence in support of our friend who's having a hard time?" And that hit me in the guts because I do that as well. I'm absolutely guilty of that. Of my only act of solidarity is to offer physical violence. And I think there's a cultural kind of like reason for that, but that doesn't make it right. And in fact, in many cases, if you're just giving the justification for your action, you're oftentimes avoiding accountability, and that is a scary thing, which is why it's so important. Even though She-Hulk didn't necessarily do very well with a male audience because it's about She-Hulk, and nerds on the internet really had a hard time dealing with really have a hard time with female superheroes, sadly. But yeah, that line. I mean, I liked the rest of the show as well. I thought it was really wonderful. She-Hulk, I mean, but that one line just meant so much to me to hear it in a big production by Disney that millions of people across the world are going to see. It's like a really important message and very potent the way that it's done. Because it's not being preachy, it's not over the top. It's not how I would say it. But it's effective in that it's doing it in a almost casual kind of way, a way that's not beating you over the head with the message. It just offers it casually. Super smart. And yeah, I mean, Miss Marvel and its whole anti-colonial, anti-cop kind of stance, especially in the final few episodes there, was super cool to see. Um, I thought that was super. I just like something I never thought I would see from a Disney product. I mean, they did a little bit of that when I was a kid, but they realized that Well, they stopped doing it a long time ago. Let's just put it that way. Let's say somewhere around 2000. They stopped doing that. 2001, somewhere around there. Somewhere maybe in September. I don't know. Just spitballing. I vaguely remember this period of my life where nationalism ramped up to like a bajillion% from where it had been previously, and we just have never gone back down from there. Yeah, I wouldn't know. I'm very unobservant, but I could say that it was probably somewhere in September around 2000, 2001. I don't know. And yeah, it's uh, that bent towards nationalism has not gone away in the 20 or so years since then. Very uncool, very scary. And to see a lot of the narratives being produced by the biggest production company on the planet being so openly pro-imperialism, literally that same company, in so many of their other works, having the counter balance to that is at least, at the minimum, it's nice to see. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, I do think these messages are invaluable, especially for younger people in this country. Across the world, certainly. But Unique's got an unique perspective, unique propaganda machine, and that often a unique propaganda machine that often targets a very specific, very vulnerable audience of young men. Of course, that's not exclusively young men, but you go on 4chan and tell me who you think the majority of the users are. Because I think you'd agree with me. Although, don't go on 4chan. Don't do it to yourself. You really aren't going to have a good time. Promise. See, Gamergate and all of the worst parts of the internet right there on 4chan. I don't recommend. This channel does not support or endorse anything that happens over there. I think in most cases I would surely stand up and say, no, this is not at all I think is I want at all. And then I would be swatted. So I just don't go there. I've known many a brave soul who do. Because they are brave and tough in a way I am not. And the reconnaissance is appreciated by those who share our perspective. But not for the faint of heart. faint of heart. Even if you just kind of like have self-respect, I wouldn't. We hit it. We've got eyebrows bigger. We've got that funky ridge at the top of the head bigger. Not necessarily super symmetrical, but I was going insane trying to make it symmetrical, so we're changing it up here. You know, while I've got this all going, I told you I was going big today. I might as well go big, right? Right? We're going big. We're going into the under eyes as well today. I'm gonna do this all at once, see how it comes out. I'm very nervous about this, frankly, but I told you I was going big. I'm not going to be a liar today. That would be rude. And if anything, well, you could say I'm rude, actually. I wouldn't disagree with you. But I'm also an entertainer and would like to at least be entertaining. And going big always entertains me. Actors that go big in a role, musicians who have big sounds and big ideas, things that are over the top. These are the things that really interest me. It takes a certain amount of bravery, a certain amount of boldness. Just kind of put yourself in that position where the rate of success and failure is high, or the rate of failure, potential for failure, the potential for difficulty, the potential to mess up what you're doing. Shit fascinates me. Genre fiction so much. It's hard to go small in genre fiction. Holy shit, we did that pretty quickly. What'd you think about that? Oh, right. It's time to add my gross yellow fill light I don't like turning on until I absolutely have to. Oh man, it got late quick. What time is it? Damn, we've been breezing through this stream. There we go. I got tape on my elbow. Okay. What's that? I could say weenus, but I don't even remember what that word means. Is it just the skin of the elbow? Yeah. Let's fuck this up, dude. Ooh. Yeah, okay. Alright, okay. Alright. Okay. Sorry. Get it under control, boyo! God, okay. Yeah, this is exciting. Big thing exciting! Big thing exciting! Did you know that big thing exciting? Holy shit. Okay. Fuck me. What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? We're going from here to here. Great explanation, right? You're so welcome. I'll show you in a second. I just have this thing that's happening in front of me and I have to be a maniac for a minute. Oh, fuck yes. A little too big. Track here. Through the eye socket again. Put it out. Okay. Holy shit. Okay. Down. Deep breath. Clean the knife. The cheekbones. Me, I'm a fan of cheekbone. I like a good cheekbone. On my face or on your face. And good, it's very subjective. But I think you guys understand my aesthetic principle. You've been hanging out for long enough. Is this a cheekbone that you like? Yeah. A bitch got wild over here. I'm the bitch. That's me. I'm the bitch. Just like Elton John. Me and Elton John have a lot in common. We both like sunglasses. We're both pop stars in the 60s. We both are space aliens that came to Earth to try and make art. And we're both queers. So I have not yet been knighted, but mostly because of all of the insults that I make to the royal family of England. I take myself out of the running. It's not them, it's me. The cheekbone. Oh, and this is a good one. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Very careful knife work right now. I am really loving this. This is such a great project. I'm back. I'm back to you should do this. It will benefit your life. No, but seriously, you know, you don't have to go this method or go this route with making a mask, but yeah, it's like I was saying earlier, it's an interesting thing to just kind of wing. Get your mind in the place to kind of explore yourself and who, if you could do, if you could change your the physical aspects of your face, if you could be a different person, if you could wear a different mask, what would you be? I mean, it's one of the oldest questions in uh, humankind's history. We've been asking ourselves since forever. Who are we? Why are we here? What are we doing? Me personally, I think I was made for this. Even if I wasn't, literally all I have. Making art, being an artist. I don't have an option outside of that. I spent 30 plus years of my life devoted to art, being an artist, making characters, being an actor, being a writer, being a musician. I made those choices a long time ago. I just don't see how I could go back on it now. And I've been doing it for so long. You know, it's very easy to see myself as kind of stuck to it, forced into it, but I wouldn't change anything if I had to do it again. Okay, maybe I'd have a backup career, but honestly, I don't know. As stupid as this will sound, I'm kind of glad I don't. Kind of glad I don't have options. Kind of glad that I can't back out, walk away from it, do something else. I don't have that option. I don't have that luxury, maybe. Guess you could also see it as a pretty a luxury to be able to do this. You know, I wouldn't disagree with that at all. Take quite a bit of fortitude, belief in yourself. They're not easy decisions, easy choices. You know, uh, easy realities to look at for in my case, where like I'm saying, you know, I don't feel like there's anything else I could do. I mean, 35's not dead, and I could certainly learn new skills, all that. I'm a pretty quick study of things. I like learning, so it's not impossible by any stretch of the imagination. I think it does say something. I'm in my mid-30s, almost 36. Gosh, just a little over a month till that happens. And still, this is what I've chosen to do. This is where my heart lies. Money, I'm confident will happen. I've had some success, not like anything crazy, but I've talked about the feature that I was in and its relative success in that kind of like market and all that. I'm very proud of the work that I have done as an actor, as a musician, as an artist. I think I have something to offer, you know? Like there's some value in what I do. And I'm supported by a lot of people who I never thought would have the kind of belief in me that they do. It is humbling, and it is beautiful, and a lot of the time is the driving force behind me continuing, you know? I'll admit that external validation is very important to me. I think that has to do with being an artist, the fact that art has to be consumed some way for it to be well, to sustain me, to sustain my life, to sustain my partner. But beyond its physical value, I think it has value for what it can, what it says. The about me and about you. I think on my best day, I'm a propagandist. I mean that in the way possible, because we have plenty of propaganda coming from the opposite perspective of myself, but I feel often that underwhelmingly we don't have much propaganda coming from my perspective. Not in the same way anyway. We have plenty of people who make content from a leftist perspective, plenty of people who make art from that perspective, but as I was talking about with Andor, it's very rare to see them on a big platform like Disney. You know, I believe I could get to a point where something like that could work out for me and for all of us, for all my comrades who know the value of messaging and who practice it there in whatever way they tend to practice it. Yeah. That's a cheekbone, all right. Holy shit. Oh my god. Okay. Moving on. Let's do the other cheekbone while I've still got this going. Let's see if I can punch it in there like I did that last one, huh? Position. Yeah, it's fine. Let's carefully scrape that off. All right. Rub it on the shirt. These shirts are for sale. My paint shirts are for sale. You can buy my paint shirts unwashed. Thank you. Took that tape out of the eyes because this is working so much better than it was last week. It's like doing exactly what I needed to do. Cannot tell you how rare that is. I need more paint. That's beautiful. I need more paint. Shake. Foot falling asleep. Ah! I'm really hard. Cannot believe it. That is. Oh! Damn. Damn, damn, damn. That is clean. That is almost identical. How did I do that? What the fuck? Crazy. Absolutely mad. Try to very carefully bunch this up so that I can rest it while I do this work. I need it upside down at the moment. I also can't risk ruining that ridge I've already started building up on the top of the head there. I think we're good. Oh man. Honestly, that would be kind of ideal. Although this doesn't have any way to attach it to a head, it just kind of like has a little stick that goes in the bottom of it. Yeah, having it as an option though, I mean, could at least glue it down or something. Yeah. Okay, careful, careful, careful. Okay. Send that in. Go 3, 43. Drop the mask now. Okay. Okay. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I think I got that one faster than I got the first one. I just have to adjust a couple of things here. Wow. That was kind of wild, gotta say. Oh boy. Oh wow. Wow, 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 wow. Surprise, that worked. Do not. Do not fall. Damn. Time to give you another look. It's not 100% symmetrical, but goddamn, I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. Close enough. In fact, it might be closer than anything else I've done so far on this mask to symmetrical. And more importantly, I'm loving it. Effect of it. I think it's kind of powerful. These huge cheekbones, this big eyebrow, this ridge coming off the forehead. You know, I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but this is kind of like an interesting butterfly shape mask that I thought that might be where I end up going at certain points when I was thinking about ideas for it in the past. And it is really strange how kind of insect-like this has turned out so far. Kind of almost bringing fruition to that creative idea that kind of like happened in my head so long ago, and I thought I wouldn't acknowledge for the rest of this project. Uh, Tell you what, I've done a lot on this piece today. I'm not even sure if we need to go all the way to 7:30 today. How's the audience looking? How are you guys doing? Everybody out there watching? Everybody having fun? I could keep going, but yeah, honestly, it's like I'm running out of places to hold the mask while I work at this point. I might need to wait at least a couple of, or at least like half an hour or so before I keep working at it. Just because it's got so much paint on it. It's like, yeah, I'm running out of space to hold it by while I work on it at this point. Tell you what I can do while I wait for you to chime in. Tell me where you're at as the audience. I'm gonna start. I really liked how well wetting my finger for this worked. I'm just gonna go ahead and do that along all of these areas that I want it to be a little bit more flush, a little bit more even. Start rubbing it down. Sounds pretty gross. Sorry, I put it that way. I didn't think about it until I was already through the thought. We teach lessons here. Lesson today is think before you speak, maybe. A lesson I have learned over and over again in my lifetime. Still continuing to learn it today. I'm kind of an idiot though. So it's not something I'm proud of, okay? Yeah. I guess if y'all don't have, if y'all are kind of either way, y'all, I mean you in the audience, if y'all are, could watch more, but kind of like zapped out, my good friend Jux was saying earlier, just kind of lurking, that's fine. But I might just call it just because the sheer logistics of trying to work on this anymore are going to get really hairy in about 4 seconds. Into whatever I start next, because everything is super wet. Everything is really thick and could be collapsed in just an instant. In fact, while I was doing the cheekbones, I was constantly just touching all of the places I don't want to be touching right now. And that's okay, but it's not ideal. You know what I mean? All of this to say, I think I'm going to wrap it up. Right. I mean, this isn't my project, but I am excited for it either way. I'm really excited about Willow tonight. I am compelled to just like jump back on later at around midnight and just like do a little watch party or reaction to it. I don't know if anyone's interested in that, but it's like I just am gonna have a lot to say. And since all I do at this point, or since so much of what my kind of like so much of Willow, my Willow consumption recently has been for Ignore the Bird, Follow the River. I kind of feel like jumping back into that tonight, but I'm not really sure, especially because I know my friends are going to have the episode Thursday. We're going to get together and talk about it then. But I'm going to have a lot to say. Maybe I'll jump on like Instagram or something. We'll do like a story poll, what you thought, whether or not you liked tonight's episode, whether or not think this, that, or the other. Maybe we'll use that for the podcast even. So if you see me on Lava Submersible, anywhere on my social media, if you know how to find me on Twitter, which I can't say here, I'll probably be multi-platform posting all night tonight for my lovable Nelwins, for the Acorn community. But other than that, we have Killshot Kate and Jumpin' JP. You Awaken in a Strange Place that takes place in a Western setting with my comrades from SideQuested, Nick and Alexis, two incredible talents as far as acting goes. Theater production. These people have been doing this maybe longer than I have at this point. And certainly, as far as theater goes, definitely doing it long after I decided I would no longer do theater. Which I cannot tell you if you've never done theater how much work goes into a theatrical production. But these two are absolute powerhouses and very talented improvisers, which made this story all the more fun to play in with these two. So I definitely want you to come by. We'll be doing the live stream the 2nd of November, which will be a Friday? Friday at 7. Yeah, so come on by and watch our episode of You Awaken in a Strange Place. The game, the no prep TTRPG RPG that's rules light, improv heavy, written by Jacob Andrews of the Drawfee YouTube channel and Twitch as well. It's one of my favorite games. I talk about it all the time. And this one is going to be a banger. We've got Ignore the Bird, Follow the River. We'll have an episode out for you soon. I'm also looking for players if you're interested at all in more episodes of You Awaken in a Strange Place. So if you want your face on this screen talking to an audience like I am doing right now, get in our Discord. Get in that old disco. And let me know. You can let me know in our casting calls chat or our You Awaken in a Strange Place chat. Either way works for me. Yeah, you could even use our Nerdcraft email. I think I'm Weston, or Weston Lee at Nerdcrafty. Just Weston at Nerdcrafty. Very simple stuff. You can hit me up there. Although honestly, the Discord is probably the easiest place for all of us because I have terrible memory. And that helps me organize my thoughts a lot. But yeah, the email is open to you. My social media is open to you. Let me know if you want to get in a game of You Awaken in a Strange Place. Right now, we don't have any kind of prior games slotted, so we'll be kind of making that schedule up with you, whatever time works for you and maybe a couple of comrades. All I need is 3 players. 2 players, absolute minimum. But yeah, I feel like the game works better with 3. I can finagle more players. If you have a bigger party that you want to play with, I'm fine with that. Other than that, you can buy my T-shirts that smell like my armpits and paint. They're very sexy, I know. They are for sale. Hit me up in my DMs or just pay me $25 on Venmo, and I'll have it sent your way. Other than that, I also want to bring your attention to the shirt we have out through Streamlabs, about the Iron Hearts one that helps out my brother Zach, who's in need of some financial assistance because of a rough life situation that is in no way his fault. Also, I would love to direct your attention to our Can You Ride or Let's Ride shirts featuring my art of Mad Mardigan. All of those proceeds go towards myself, which would really help me out in my own financial predicaments that I'm in and help me buy more of these wonderful supplies. Also, you can just donate to me directly. There's also our, I've already mentioned my Venmo, there's also our Patreon, which helps all of us at Nerdcrafty out. And I know that if you've ever been in this whole content creation thing, you know how important a Patreon is to any channel that has somebody on it as often as I'm on it with as foul a mouth as I have. So please donate to our Patreon. It will give my producer some peace of mind. And I know I would appreciate it. We all would appreciate it at Nerdcrafty. Other than that, you know the news about Nerdcrafty. Stuff's been kind of put on hold for certain things, and especially the holidays. It's hard to get everybody together in a non-family way, you know? Yeah, I think that's all I've got for you tonight. All the little pitches, promotions that we've got going at the moment. This mask will eventually be for sale, as are the other masks that I've made. I can tell you that it's not going to be cheap because I put a lot of work into these. I can also do customs. I would really love to get some commissions soon. I need to start making some more money. And art commissions really help me out with that. It's really easy for me to do digital stuff, and I'm happy to do those at a fairly lower price than a lot of my physical mediums, physical art. Yeah, hit me at Lava Submersible on most of my social medias. You can find me at Weston Lee Ball on Facebook, and I can't hype my Twitter. But who even wants to be on Twitter at this point? Some Emerald Mine failson is ruining the platform. No one knows his name. He's not important. Other than that, I love you. Have a wonderful holiday. If you don't celebrate, congratulations. You can at least not celebrate in solidarity with me. Maybe that's its own celebration. We'll have to debate that on a later date because I'm tired and have to pee. So, mwah, good night. Best wishes, and we'll be seeing you next week on Live with Lava Sub at 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time every Tuesday. All right, y'all. Take care out there. Take care of each other.